Hello, hi everyone. Hello. Hi everyone. Welcome to a new live stream. How's it going? I hope everything is well. Hola a todos. Bienvenidos a un nuevo en vivo. ¿Cómo están? Espero que estén muy bien. Today we are going to learn 5 common phrases, 5 common Spanish phrases. This is episode 19. Man, episode 19. If you want to watch previous episodes, just feel free to browse my channel and you will find them for sure. Okay, before we get started, don't forget to subscribe and also click on the bell icon so you can get notified every time I live stream. I want to give a big shout out to our Cafecito members, Christopher Michael, Ruby Brockenberry, also Brianna L., Gregory Ramirez, Michael Lee, Regulation D, Hanko Juan, Roy W., Christine as well. Thank you guys for the support. El cafecito está delicioso. The coffee is delicious. Thank you so much. If you want me to give you a shout out and for more perks, you can also become a member on this channel. You can read more about it just by clicking on the join button down below. So feel free to check that out. And if you can support this channel, that'd be great. Essentially, you're buying me a cup of coffee. So the monthly fee is less than $3. So yeah, feel free to check it out. No pressure though, no pressure. Remember that I'm live streaming. So if you want to ask questions, if you want to say hello, if you want to practice your Spanish, you can use the live chat for that. The only thing you gotta do is subscribe to this channel to be able to use the live chat. I see already Black Eye and Alex Matthias. Welcome. Hiya from UK. Welcome. I'm currently in Devon as I'm listening to this. Oh, welcome. Welcome, Alex. Welcome. Bienvenidos, chicos. Thank you for stopping by. So let's get started. Let's talk about 5 common phrases that you have to learn. Why? Because they're so good. They're really helpful and you can use them pretty much every day if you have to. So 5 phrases you must know for sure. The first phrase, let's look at the first phrase and let's see what we have. Let me just get my brush ready over here. Wow, that's big. Okay, so let's learn the first phrase. The first phrase is echar cara. Echar cara. So this one is, this phrase is a bit advanced, but it's not difficult. It's not difficult at all. You only need to know the conjugation of the verb echar, which is the first word right here. Echar. Oh, mama, that's not the color I want. Echar. Yo echo, tú echas, él echa, nosotros echamos, vosotros echáis. Okay, so you have to know the conjugation of this verb if you want to use this phrase. Probably you may be asking, what does echar mean? What does that mean? Echar, as I said before, it's a verb and it means quite a few things. It can mean to throw or toss. For example, if you're throwing a ball or something like that. So you can say echar la pelota, to throw the ball, to pour as well. That one is not that common though, but it could mean to pour, like for example, pour water into the glass. So echar agua en el vaso, echa agua en el vaso. That is something that you can say in Spanish for sure. Also, it means to put or add, for example, an ingredient to your food. We could be talking about salt. I could say, échale sal a la comida, add salt to the food. So it's quite a versatile verb, echar. We can talk about this verb in the future for sure. But in this situation, it means something else. In this specific phrase, echar en cara. En means in, on, and at. It's another great little word that means quite a few things in Spanish. En cara. Cara means face, okay? La cara, mi cara, my face. The face, la cara, okay? So what are we talking about? What are we talking about? Let's look at the meaning of this common phrase. This means to throw in someone's face when someone is telling you, hey, you did this, I didn't like it. Why are you doing this? Why did you do this? Right? To throw in someone's face, something, or also to reproach. Essentially you're kind of telling someone, hey, I didn't like this. I don't like your attitude. I don't like what you're doing or what you did. Okay. So that's what this means. Echar en cara. It's very similar to the phrase to throw in someone's face. It's similar to that. It's almost a literal meaning. Pretty much a literal meaning there. But obviously this is not something literal. We're talking about something more complex. Okay? Something more complex. Let me show you what I mean. The first example is, ella me echó en cara que llegué tarde. Ella me echó en cara que llegué tarde. This means she threw it in my face that I was late. So, why are you late? You're always late. ¿Por qué llegaste tarde? Siempre llegas tarde. If someone tells you that, well, you can say, ella me echó en cara que llegué tarde. Okay? So let's break this down. Let's see how this works. Ella, ella, it's not ella. I've heard some people saying ella. I don't know why. Maybe because they get confused between Spanish and Italian. It's not ella. It's ella. It's a completely different pronunciation. Ella. Ella means she. Me echó en cara. So this is the phrase we're learning right now. You can use reflexive pronouns with this phrase. Ella me echó en cara. So technically you're saying she threw it in my face. Or threw in my face. Threw it in my face. I assume, that is the usage of this phrase right here, right? So in English, of course. But when you say ella me echó en cara, you're saying that she was complaining about you, something you did or you're doing, or both, okay? And then que means that. Llegué is a verb that means to arrive or to get to a place. But when you say the phrase llegar tarde, because this is a verb, llegué, that's conjugated in past tense, present tense, but this comes from the verb llegar, which means to arrive. And when you add tarde, llegar tarde, that means to be late. Okay? In this situation, we conjugated the verb in present tense, past tense. So you're saying I was late. You don't need to say yo llegué tarde. You could say ella me echó en cara que yo llegué tarde because yo means I. Okay, we don't have it in Spanish because we don't say yo all the time. Okay, you can just say llegué tarde. I was late, or I'm late. You can even if you say this by itself, llegué tarde. I was late. That's the meaning. So you can say it by itself, but you can also add it to a sentence, of course, and that means I was late. The same thing. Interesting. Why are you always late? That's not good. Not good. No es bueno. Okay, so let's look at the next. Oh, by the way, in this situation, echar en cara means, to throw in someone's face, right? So let's look at, or to reproach. It's the same thing. Same meaning. Let's look at the next example using this phrase. Mis padres me echan en cara que no llamo con más frecuencia. So this is a longer sentence, not difficult. Don't get overwhelmed by this. It's not that hard. We just need to break it down so you understand how it works. Mis padres me echan en cara que no llamo con más frecuencia. Frecuencia, I like that word. It sounds pretty good. This means my parents reproach me for not calling more often. You need to call them. You need to call your parents, your family. They want to know about you, right? They want to know how your life is going. That's for sure. So most parents might tell you this. So let's see how this works, how this sentence works. Mis. The pronunciation of this word is very similar to the English word miss, M-I-S-S. So it's the same pronunciation, pretty much. Mis means my. It's plural. It's a plural my. Why? Because padres is plural, and this is a noun. So you always need to pay attention to nouns in Spanish because they can be feminine, masculine, and singular or plural. So you need to pay attention to that all the time. Why? Because you need to match pretty much all these words, for example, adjectives and adverbs sometimes. Some of them you don't, but most of the time you have to. You have to match everything. Feminine, plural, or singular, masculine. You have to pay attention to nouns. Mis padres means my parents. I know padres sounds like you're saying fathers in Spanish, but padres also means parents. It can mean fathers, of course, but it also means parents, okay? Padre means father, okay, without the S. Padre. Mi padre, my father, okay? So that's quite an interesting word right there. Me echan, again, we're using me because we're talking about, that you did something or not doing something in the situation. You're not calling your parents. So when you say me echan en cara, you're talking about what you did, right? So me echan en cara, that means reproach me, okay? In this situation, me refers to me, okay? So this one right here, me. Me can mean I, okay? And it can mean me, as well. So it depends on the situation. I could say, me gusta la pizza. I like pizza. And I said me. I didn't say yo. Okay. So you have to pay attention to that as well. How verbs work with, pronouns. So especially reflexive pronouns, we use them all the time in Spanish. So in this situation, me means me. Me echan en cara, reproach me. Que, when you add que after echar en cara, you're adding more information to your sentence. So if you say, mis padres me echan en cara, and you stop there, there's a lot of questions. What did you do? What's wrong? So if you want to add more to your sentence, more information to your sentence, then when using this phrase, you can say que. Me echan en cara que. Okay, que is something that will help you to add more information. We don't have it, we have 4, right? But similar to saying that. Que can mean what and that. That. Okay, in this situation, just like that. So for not calling, que no, yo no llamo. We don't need yo, we need no llamo. And remember, no in Spanish, no can mean no. It can mean don't. It can mean won't, didn't. Okay, so it's just pretty much just a negative word that can mean as well not as well, and it means a bunch of things, and it works with verbs really well. So if you say no llamo, yo no llamo, that means I'm not calling or I don't call, right? In English we have not calling, which this is the gerund. Calling, that's the gerund. We don't have it in Spanish. We just put like a simple conjugation, yo no llamo, I don't call. Okay, so pay attention to that, because remember, English and Spanish are different languages. They don't work the same, so you need to pay attention to that. So in this situation, you need just that conjugation, yo no llamo. Yo no llamo, you don't need yo, you can say no llamo, okay? I'm gonna include con más frecuencia. Con más frecuencia is a very common way to say more often. You can say más seguido. You can say que no llamo más seguido. Más seguido is just a phrase, just the phrase that works in this situation as well. You don't need con if you use más seguido. You can say just más seguido. So let me show you what I mean. And let me erase all of this. Erase it. Que no llamo más seguido. That is a way to say more often. Okay? But if you want to say pretty much the same, you can also say, con más frecuencia. Okay, so you have 2 different ways to say more often. Con más frecuencia means more often. Okay, con más frecuencia. Frecuencia can mean frequency as well. Frecuencia has quite a few meanings. Not too many meanings. It's a noun and it's feminine, la frecuencia. Okay, but it can mean it can be part of something with something being or happening more often. Okay, la frecuencia. It's something that is when you use it every day, it could mean I mean, you can use it in many different ways, but it can be part of phrases like this one, con más frecuencia, that means more often. It can mean, frequency, when you, for example, want to turn into certain frequency, sintonizar la frecuencia, okay? So it has, I mean, I just wanted to let you know that it also means frequency, but in this situation means more often, con más frecuencia, okay? Excellent. Remember, echar en cara means to throw in someone's face something, reproach. We're talking about something that is not literal. It's, we're talking about problems, things that people don't like about other people, So, and you're just expressing that. Excellent. Do you have any questions? Hello, welcome, guys. Abdurrahim. I don't know if I pronounced that correctly, but hola, maestra, hola. Again, black eye. My God. It's just every time I see your username, it's a bit like, wow, what's going on? That's a peculiar username, but welcome. Excellent. Let's continue. Remember, if you have any questions, just let me know. I will read them, so don't worry if I don't answer your questions right away. I will get to them. So feel free to leave any question related to what we're learning, and at any time, like whenever. Sí, verdad, profe. Sí. ¿Verdad que sí? Excellent. Let's continue. The next phrase is sacarle provecho a. Sacarle provecho a. Sacarle provecho a. What does this mean? Sacar, this first part, that's a verb. And it means, of course, it has more than one meaning. Sacar means to take out. For example, saca la basura, take out the trash, okay? Or remove in general, if you want to remove something. But we're talking about moving that something outside, okay? Also, if you, for example, want to get, it can also mean to get or obtain. For example, I could say get good grades in Spanish. I can say sacar buenas notas or saca buenas notas. Sacar, that's the verb right there. Also, to release or publish, we're talking about books, we're talking about magazines and all of that. So, for example, I can say, sacar un libro, to publish a book, okay? And it has other meanings, but those are some basic meanings of the verb sacar. Sacar le, this means that, you can actually just say sacarle. You can use le in these situations. When using this phrase, this can go before the verb, but just separate, okay? Or it can be part of the verb, sacarle, okay? So you can use le in this situation. And provecho, you can say provecho by itself, provecho, and that means it's just a way to say enjoy your food. If you are at a restaurant or with your family, you can say provecho, just enjoy your food. You can hear this very, very often for sure in Spanish. And means a bunch of things. It can mean to, okay? It's pretty much, it's a preposition. So it can mean to or at in some situations. When talking about time, a las 10 de la noche, at 10 p.m. Or, for example, you can say, voy a ir a la tienda. Voy a la tienda. A means I'm going to the store. Voy a la tienda, okay? It can mean a few other things, but that's like the basic meaning of this preposition, a. Sacarle provecho a. What are we talking about? We're not talking about saying enjoy your food in Spanish or something like that, or taking something out. What are we talking about here? The meaning of this phrase is to take advantage of, specifically a situation. Okay, so for example, you have some free time. You need to take advantage of that free time. You might do whatever you want to do during that time, but a lot of people take advantage of their free time, right? So we're talking about that. You need to spend your time in a wise way, smart way. You want to either rest or do groceries or learn something new, learn a language like we're doing right now, or you're doing. I already know Spanish, but you know what I mean? We're talking about that, just to take advantage of your time and even a situation. Okay, so let's look at some examples using this phrase. Le sacamos provecho al buen clima y fuimos a nadar. Le sacamos provecho al buen clima y fuimos a nadar. Do you know what nadar means? Nadar, it sounds like nada, but we're not talking about nada. We're talking about nadar. That's a verb. So this means we took advantage of the good weather and went swimming. So that's smart. That's smart. If you see that the weather is nice outside, why not just go for a swim? Go for a swim. So let's break this down. Let's see how this sentence works. Le, do you remember I talked about le a second ago? You can use le in this when using this phrase. So you can use it before the verb as a single word, separate. Le. And then we have the verb sacar. Sacamos, le sacamos. Essentially, you're saying nosotros, which means we. We don't need it there, but it's there. It's there. You don't see it, but it's there. So nosotros, you can say, of course, nosotros, right? And that means we. But when you say le sacamos, specifically, let's include the whole phrase. Provecho a. Le sacamos provecho a. That means we took advantage of. Okay? Sacamos, le sacamos. Sacamos can be used in present tense. Sacamos. Or it can also be present. It depends on the situation. But in this situation, we're talking about what you did. So, le sacamos provecho a means we took advantage of something. Now, we have not only a, we have al. Let me tell you why. Why? Because when you have el in Spanish, which means the, it can also mean he, right? But we're not talking about he, we're talking about the. When you won't see this in Spanish because that's wrong. But when a and el happen to be together in a sentence, they become one word, al, okay? Why? Because a el means of the. But a el is wrong. So we need al, and that means also of the, okay? Of the. So, al buen clima, buen, it's similar to bueno, okay? It means the same thing, but buen is used before the noun. Bueno is used after the noun, okay? Clima is the noun. Clima is the noun. So when talking about weather, you gotta say buen clima. You can also say el clima bueno, but it's more often to say buen clima. Buen clima. Buen clima means good. Buen means good. Clima means weather. Buen clima means good weather. Y and fuimos, nosotros fuimos, we don't need nosotros. Fuimos, we need fuimos, and fuimos means we went somewhere. You can say fuimos a la tienda, we went to the store, okay? But in this situation, we need to include fuimos a nadar. Fuimos a nadar. That phrase right there means went swimming. We went swimming, okay? So, nadar is a verb and it means to swim. Yo nado, I swim. Tú nadas, you swim. So, nadar means to swim. But the phrase, if you say fuimos a nadar, went swimming. That's what it means. Fuimos comes from the verb ir, okay? It's past tense, fuimos, nosotros fuimos, we went somewhere, okay? And yeah, you can say vamos a nadar, let's go swimming as well. So a nadar refers to, swimming pretty much. Vamos a nadar, fuimos a nadar, quiero ir a nadar, and that means I want to go swimming, okay? Quiero ir a nadar. Or quiero nadar, I want to swim, okay? So a nadar just refers to the action of swimming, okay? It can also be by itself a verb. You can say nadé ayer, I went for a swimming yesterday, okay? Or él está nadando, he is swimming. So, interesting. Le sacamos provecho al buen clima y fuimos a nadar. We took advantage of the good weather and went swimming. Good. Okay, let's continue. The next example is Sacarle provecho al. Again, we have al fin de semana y descansa. Sácale provecho al fin de semana y descansa. This means make the most of the weekend and rest. Oh, I forgot. Sacarle provecho a also means to make the most of. Sorry about that, but yeah, it can mean to make the most of or just to take advantage of. So, Let's break this down. Sacarle is a command. That's a command. And when we include the rest, sacarle provecho a. By the way, this doesn't change. This can change if you have el after. Okay? Just like I said before. If it has el after, then it becomes al. Okay? Sácale provecho al. That means, we don't need tú, by the way. Tú means you, of course. You're giving the command to you, singular. And that means, sácale provecho al means make the most of. We don't have the. Why? Because this includes the, because we had el, and el is gone. It became al. So when you say al, means of the. Fin de semana. Fin means end. De semana. Of, pretty much you're saying end of week. End of week, that's the literal translation. But fin de semana as a phrase means weekend. Okay, semana means week. And descansa. Descansa means to rest. Okay, comes from the verb descansar, which means to rest. But when you say descansa, you can say just that by itself to someone, descansa. And that means get some rest. It's similar to saying get some rest. Descansa. Okay, so interesting. Remember, sacarle provecho a can mean to take advantage of your time or a situation. For example, good weather. You have a situation where you have good weather, so go swimming. That can be something good. Swimming is great. I love it. And it means to make the most of. So remember that. If you want to use this phrase, you need to know the conjugation of the verb sacar. Remember to include le, because it's very likely that you will use it. We don't have it here, so it's sometimes you use it. If it's a command like this one, you don't need it, right? But if you're just saying, hey, we took advantage of the good weather, or he took advantage, él le sacó, okay? So remember that. Provecho a, that doesn't change. The only thing is, if you have a and el, then it becomes al, okay? Remember that. Easy breezy. Easy breezy. Any questions? Aprovecho también. You can use the verb aprovechar. Yo aprovecho el buen clima. I'm taking advantage of the good weather. Aprovechar is an easier way to say to take advantage of. So you can use the verb aprovechar as well. That's a great question. But a lot of people say sacarle provecho a as well. So aprovechar, a simpler way to say to take advantage of or to make the most of. Okay? Yeah. A él, al. They become al. Hay que sacarle provecho al tiempo. Great example. It's perfect. Me encanta nadar también. It's good. A mí también me encanta. Yeah. It's good. I like it. I like swimming. I don't do it often though. but I do like it. Okay, excellent. Let's talk about the next one. Let's talk about the next phrase. Echarse atrás. Echarse atrás. Echarse atrás. We have again echar. Echar. You know, it means quite a few things, right? So echar, to throw or to put, for example, some ingredient in your food. Échale sal. You know, add some salt or add salt. Se, this means you can use reflexive pronouns with this phrase. Okay? It can be me, se, te, nos, os. Okay? And atrás means behind. Atrás, behind. Ella está atrás. She is behind. Okay? Echarse atrás. What does this mean? As a phrase, it means, as a phrase, it means to back out. Okay? So you changed your mind, essentially. You're changing your mind. You wanted to go somewhere, but you know what? I changed my mind. I'm not gonna do it. Or you're gonna, I don't know, you found a house and you wanna buy it. And then you change your mind for whatever reason and you're not gonna buy it anymore. So we're talking about this, just to back out. You're backing out. So let's look at some examples using this phrase. No te eches atrás. No te eches atrás. Ya prometiste que irías. No te eches atrás. Ya prometiste que irías. This means don't back out. You already promised you would go. It looks complicated, but it's not. It's not. Let's break it down. No, as I said before, it can mean no, not, don't, want, didn't. Okay? So it depends on the situation, but in this situation, it means don't. Why? Because it's a command. You're telling this person to not do something. You're not asking them. You're just telling them, hey, don't do this. Okay? So in this situation, no means don't. Why? Well, I told you why, but also we need to pay attention to the rest. We have te, okay? Te is a reflexive pronoun. So we have essentially the reflexive pronoun before the verb. Reflexive pronouns can go before verbs or after, but attached to the verb if it goes after the verb. When it's in front of the verb or before the verb, then it has to be separate, a different word, just two words. Okay, te, reflexive pronoun, and it refers to you, just you don't do something. We don't have it here, but that's what it means. That's the meaning. Eches atrás. Tú eches atrás. This is conjugated. The verb is conjugated. The verb echar right here is conjugated for tú. Okay? Tú eches atrás, but we don't need tú. We need te eches. And then we have the rest, which it doesn't change. It will not change. So when you say no te eches atrás, that means don't back out. But you're saying this to one person, you singular, okay? You can say that to a group of people, of course, and you can say no se echen atrás. Don't back out. You guys, a group of people, you plural, okay? But in this situation, we're talking to one person. No te eches atrás. Don't back out. And then we have tú ya prometiste. We don't have tú because we don't use personal pronouns. Yo, tú, él, nosotros, ella, vosotros, ustedes, ellos, ellas. We don't use those all the time unless we want to be very specific. You can, but it's going to sound too repetitive. It's going to sound too repetitive. So when I say ya prometiste means you already promised. Okay? Prometiste comes from the verb prometer. Prometer. And that means to promise. Now, te is a reflexive pronoun that was attached. Well, actually, not in this situation. Sorry, I got confused. But it can be a reflexive pronoun. And prometiste means promised. Okay? Ya means already. And we don't have tú in Spanish. But once again, if you say ya prometiste, that means you already promised. Que, in this situation, we're adding more to the sentence. So when you use the verb prometer, which means to promise, you can say prometer que. Okay? So yo prometí que iría. I promised I was going to go. Tú prometiste que irías. You promised that you would go. Okay? So que is just helping us to add more information after the verb prometer. And we don't have it here. Similar to saying that. You promised that, ... We don't have it here. Irías. Tú irías. We don't need again tú. Can you imagine if I use tú in this sentence? I could say, no te eches atrás. Tú ya prometiste que tú irías. So you can say tú, but it sounds too repetitive. So in Spanish, a lot of people don't use personal pronouns. So que irías means you would go. Okay, you would go. Irías. This comes from the verb ir. The verb ir is very irregular. Ir means to go. So I can say yo voy. That's the verb conjugated, ir, conjugated. And it means I'm going or I go. Okay. Tú vas. You go. Okay. So irías is conjugated, the verb conjugated. Ir conjugated. And irías means you would go. It's crazy. It's just one verb that tells you a lot. So, no te eches atrás. Ya prometiste que irías. Don't back out. You already promised you would go. The phrase we're learning is right here. Okay? So it can be negative. You want someone to not do something, to not back out. Okay? Excellent. Now the next example. Let's look at the next example using echarse atrás. Ellos se echaron atrás. Ellos se echaron atrás. We're saying ellos here. That's interesting. En el último momento y cancelaron el viaje. Ellos se echaron atrás en el último momento y cancelaron el viaje. This means they backed out at the last minute and canceled the trip. So let's break this down. Let's see how this works. Ellos means they. You cannot say it. You can say, se echaron atrás en el último momento, ... But you can also say it. Ellos means they. Se, we have the reflexive pronoun here. Se echaron atrás means backed out. En, at. En can mean in, on, or at. El, the. Último means, well, let's include momento. Último momento. El último momento means the last minute. So when you say en el último momento, that means at the last minute. So that's a very helpful phrase to learn, because you can't just say, hey, at the last minute, this happened at the last minute. En el último momento. Momento means moment, by the way, but it's not a literal translation. Okay, it's not. Minuto is minute. You could say en el último minuto, but I don't know. It doesn't sound that common in Spanish. It's not used that commonly in Spanish. You can say en el último momento, at the last minute. That's what it means. Similar to that. And cancelaron. Ellos cancelaron. We already said ellos here, so you don't need to say it here. Cancelaron means canceled. They canceled, okay? El viaje means the trip. Buen viaje, have a good trip. Viaje means trip. Interesting. Very interesting. Remember, echarse atrás means to back out. Just to back out. Remember, you can use reflexive pronouns with this. You need the conjugation of the verb echar, and this stays the same. So don't worry about that. This part here, atrás. Okay? Echarse atrás means to back out. Excellent. Do you guys have any questions? We have 2 more phrases and that's it. No puedes echarte atrás ahora. You can't back out now. Yeah. Yep. It's good. It's good. Irías means would go. Yes. Irías. You would go. Tú irías. Okay? You would go. Hello, Manny, welcome. Genial. That's awesome. Welcome. Okay. Let's continue. We have two phrases left. The next one is estar al tanto. Estar al tanto. This is a good one. This is a really good one. This, the verb estar means to be, one of the most basic Spanish verbs. Estar. Al is a él, to the, okay? That's what it means, to the. But when you have a él in Spanish, it becomes one word, al. Tanto means a few things. It can mean, it can be an adverb, a noun, a conjunction as well. So as an adverb, it means much or so many, or so much, so many. Te amo tanto. I love you so much. Tanto. Okay. As a noun, it can mean, it's less common, but it can mean, actually as a conjunction. Sorry. So you can say tanto como, and that means as much as. So it has a few meanings, but the most basic one is too many or too much, and it can change. If you have a feminine noun, like for example, naranjas, plural, naranjas, and feminine, las naranjas, the oranges, you can say tantas naranjas, so many oranges. So it can be tantas. Or for example, another feminine noun, comida, la comida, that's feminine. You can say tanta comida, so much food. Okay, so it can change to tanta, tantas, tantos. Okay, so feminine, masculine, feminine, and plural as well, singular, plural. So tanto, in this situation, estar al tanto, what does it mean? What does it mean? It doesn't make any sense if you literally translate this, but it means, to be up to date or to be informed. This is important because you can use this at your office, at work. You can use this if you just want to be informed. We could be talking about, what's going on in the world. Maybe you need to be up to date. It's a good idea to be up to date. So, and be informed. So that's what we're talking about here. You can use this phrase in those situations. So now let's look at some examples using estar al tanto. No estoy al tanto de lo que pasó en la reunión. No estoy al tanto de lo que pasó en la reunión. This means I'm not informed about what happened in the meeting. So we're talking about work here. No estoy al tanto de lo que pasó en la reunión. I'm not informed about what happened in the meeting. Let's break this down. No can mean different things. All of them negative. Don't, no, not, will not, or won't, didn't. Okay? When you say no estoy al tanto, because this is the phrase we're learning, this is the verb estar conjugated. Yo for yo, I. No estoy al tanto means I'm not informed. You can say this by itself, and that just means pretty much it's a fancy way to say I don't know about what's going on. Or I'm not informed. Okay? No estoy al tanto. I'm not informed. De, you can include this if you want to add more information to your sentence. Estar al tanto de helps you to add more information. So when you say de, we don't have it here, but de can mean of or from. We don't have it in English, but it's similar to saying about. In this situation, in this peculiar situation. Lo can refer to it. You're talking about it, what happened. Something happened. And that thing that happened, that it is right there as lo. Lo que pasó, you can even include the rest. Lo que pasó means what happened. Okay? Que means what, pasó means happened. It comes from the verb pasar, which means to happen. But lo, it's important to notice this. Lo que pasó, lo refers to it. It's not there, but it's important because you're referring to it in Spanish, right? Something happened. What happened? Lo que pasó. By the way, another easy way to understand this is Lo que, including these two words, lo que. Lo que can mean what. Okay, for example, I can say lo que me gusta, what I like. So it's not about a question, it's about saying what you like in this situation. But in this situation, lo que pasó means what happened. Okay? You can also say lo que odio, what I hate. Lo que quiero, what I want. So lo que means what as well. So this is a good tip right here. Okay, en means in. La reunión means the meeting. So nothing difficult here. You're just saying that you don't know what happened at the meeting. You're not informed. What happened? I don't know. You tell me. Excellent. Let's move on. The next example is: mi amiga me mantiene al tanto de lo que pasa en su ciudad. Mi amiga me mantiene al tanto de lo que pasa en su ciudad. Do you know what this means? It's a long sentence. It's not that difficult. It means my friend keeps me up to date about what's happening in her city. My friend keeps me up to date. My friend. Yeah, she's a good friend. I don't know why I would like to know what's happening in her city, but she's just informing you, telling you what's going on in her city. So let's break this down. Mi amiga, mi means my. This is singular. You can say mis if you have a plural noun. And because we have amiga, which is a feminine and singular noun, you need me, okay? Mi amiga, my friend. Amiga is a feminine noun. Amigo is masculine, okay? Me means me. It can mean I, okay? But in this situation means me. Me mantiene al tanto. This is the phrase we're learning. Me mantiene al tanto keeps me up to date. Here we go again. De is helping you to add more information to your sentence. It's similar to about in this situation. And then we have lo que. We're saying again lo que. Lo que means what. Pasa. Lo que pasa means what's happening. You can even start off by saying lo que pasa to explain what's happening. Lo que pasa es que no me gusta comer aquí. What's happening is that I don't like eating here, for example. So lo que pasa can help you explain what's happening. And it also means what's happening, okay? Lo que pasa, what's happening. And in su means her or his, okay? Or your, formal. Ciudad, city. Mi amiga me mantiene al tanto de lo que pasa en su ciudad. My friend keeps me up to date about what's happening in her city. Easy. Remember, estar al tanto means to be up to date, to be informed. You need to know the conjugation of the verb estar, and the rest doesn't change. It can also work with reflexive pronouns like me, okay? And that's it. It means to be update, to be informed. Any questions? Any questions? Any questions, guys? Just one sec. Let me see. Estar al. Estar al. Irías with an accent over I means you would go. Yeah, well, yeah. I mean, you need the accent mark. You need the accent mark if you want to say that you would go. Welcome, Octavio. Girlfriend, yeah, amiga can mean it means friend, or if if you have a girlfriend, if you are, a lot of women refer to their female friends as girlfriends, so you can also say that. I mean, it could mean girlfriend, right? But girlfriend also, or novia, means girlfriend as well, and that's a different thing. A person can say, ella es mi novia, she's my girlfriend, and we're not talking about friends. It's more about dating, right? Okay. Lastly, guys, we have the last phrase we're learning today. Echar raíces. Again, echar. I didn't notice that. But this is a different phrase, completely different phrase. Echar raíces. Echar raíces. Echar means to throw. It means to add an ingredient to your food, but it just means to throw something. Échame la bola. Throw the ball to me, right? Just because you want to play, you're playing, or something like that. But echar means to throw. Raíces, this one right here. Raíces means roots. When talking about plants. Las raíces de mi planta son largas. My plant roots, are long. So, long roots, raíces largas. So we're not talking about plants. Don't worry. We're not talking about plants at all. We're talking about something else. Echar raíces means to settle down. Just to settle down. But we're talking about, for example, if you want to buy a house, if you want to marry someone, if you want to move to a city and stay there to settle down, we're talking about that. Okay, we're talking about that, about staying in one place for a long time. Okay, so when marrying someone, of course, but especially when you buy a house and you want to settle down, we're talking specifically about that. So let's look at some examples. Obviously, you will need to know how to use the verb echar. You will need the conjugation of this verb in order to use this phrase. So, for example, quiero echar raíces en una ciudad tranquila. Quiero echar raíces en una ciudad tranquila. This means I want to settle down in a quiet city. Okay. So, quiero, I mean, quiet cities, I don't think they exist. But maybe. usually cities are pretty loud, but I mean, why not, right? Maybe there's a city, a quiet city somewhere. So quiero, yo quiero, yo quiero. You don't need to say yo. You can say just quiero, and that means I want. Quiero pizza. I want pizza. Quiero tacos. I want tacos. Quiero dormir. I want to sleep. Quiero caminar. I want to walk. So quiero is a great word. It comes from the verb querer, which means to want. But if you say quiero, that means I want, okay? Echar, raíces. This is the phrase we're learning. And when you say quiero, ... of course, just quiero can mean I want or I want to ... You are adding more, right? You can just add more after quiero. Echar raíces, settle down. In una means a ciudad, city. Tranquila means quiet. Tranquila. Why tranquila and not tranquilo? Because this one is an adjective. Tranquila. Because of city, ciudad is feminine. So that's why we're saying una and tranquila. Okay, so feminine, this is feminine, this is feminine, this is feminine as well. Okay, so una ciudad tranquila means a quiet city. Remember, adjectives need to match nouns, the gender, and the number. Plural, singular, feminine, masculine. And una is an article, an indefinite article. It can also be masculine. Un carro, a car. Una ciudad, a city. So you also need to pay attention to articles in Spanish. Excellent. Next example is the last example. Ella echó raíces en ese pueblo. Ella echó raíces en ese pueblo porque le encantó el ambiente. Ella echó raíces en ese pueblo porque le encantó el ambiente. And this means she settled down in that town because she loved the atmosphere, you know? Just the way the town is or looks or feels, okay? So let's break this down. Ella, you don't need to say it, but it's there. We are being specific, especially with ella, él, and usted, because those pronouns have the same conjugation. So if you want to be specific, you can add the pronoun. You can say él echó raíces, or ella echó raíces, or usted echó raíces. Okay, so in that situation, it makes sense to have the personal pronoun. Okay, so ella means she, echó raíces. This is the phrase we're learning. Echó is echar conjugated, imperative tense, past tense, and then the rest stays the same. So ella echó raíces means she settled down in ese means that, that. Okay, pueblo means town. ¿Por qué means because. Le encantó. Le can be used with encantar. Encantar is a verb that means when you love something. You know, it can mean a few things, encantar, but it's a verb, and it can mean to essentially to love something. Okay, for example, I can say, me encanta la música. I love music. Or I can say, nos encanta este lugar. We love this place. Okay, so it's just about, it's similar to saying amar, but essentially you're just saying, that you really like or love something. Okay, also people, me encantas. I love you. It's similar to saying I love you, but it's like, it's a different I love you. You would say that to your partner, of course. Me encantas. If you say that to your friend, man, your friend is going to be like, what? What do you mean? But if you say me encantas to your boyfriend or girlfriend, that means, I really like you. I really love you, in a very sweet way. So, le encantó, le can be used, encantar can be used with reflexive pronouns. That's why I said me encanta, te encanta. Also, te is a reflexive pronoun. We're using le. Le is a reflexive pronoun. It can be an indirect object pronoun as well. So in this situation, it could mean him, her, or it, okay? Or even you. But remember, it's a reflexive pronoun, can be used as indirect object pronoun. But in this situation, we are referring to it. So she loved something, right? She loved something. It refers to that. Le refers to that. And I know we're saying what it is, but le and reflexive pronouns are used in Spanish a lot. So when you say ella le encantó, you're saying that she loved something. It's not there, but she loved something. That something is le, okay? And once again, the verb encantar works with reflexive pronouns a lot. So keep that in mind. We can talk about the verb encantar in the future. Le encantó means she loved. El, the, ambiente, atmosphere. Okay? Ambiente can mean some things. Atmosphere. Okay? So essentially you're talking about your surroundings. You could be talking about the environment as well. Atmosphere or vibe even. And also natural environment, right? So we're talking about a town that is charmed. She likes how it feels, the vibe of it. So that's what we're talking about here. We can talk about ambiente in another lesson. Oh my God, so many lessons that we should have. But anyways, ella echó raíces en ese pueblo porque le encantó el ambiente. She settled down in that town because she loved the vibe, the atmosphere, okay, the surroundings. We could be talking about that. Excellent. Remember, echar raíces means to settle down. When talking about living in a city, living in a town, buying a house, or even renting, if you're going to stay there for a long time, you're settling down, and that's what we're talking about. Excellent. Do you guys have any questions? Any questions? This was the last phrase. Man. Ese means that. When you are, for example, you can say, ese carro, that car, okay? Esa casa, that changed. It can change to, depends on nouns, feminine, masculine nouns. Esa casa, that house. ese carro, that car, okay? Why don't use que? Que is different. Que is used for different things, different situations. You cannot say que carro. If you say que carro, you're just complimenting the car. You know, que carro. What a car, okay? If you use lo que, that also means what, but you're just saying what you're talking about your opinion. Lo que me gusta, what I like, lo que quiero, what I want. So it doesn't remember that we can have multiple Spanish words that mean or can be used for the same thing or have different uses or they have different meanings. So I know that ese and que can mean what or that. Rather, ese means that. Que can mean that. But it's not the same situation. It's not the same situation. You have to pay attention to the situations. If you're talking about pointing out and saying that car, you need to say ese, or esa. It can also be plural, esos. Those, that changed, right? Those dogs, esos perros, okay? So you have to pay attention to that. Just pay attention to how the words are used, the situations, context, all of that is important. And you cannot use ese, or you cannot say que, rather. You cannot say que when using or when you want to say ese, okay? So you need to pay attention to that. Those are not the same words. It can mean the same in English, but just like in English, why don't I say what instead of that, or that instead of what? It all depends on the situation. Situations. So pay attention, practice, and that's it. But that's a great question. Sometimes you can use the same word. Sometimes you can't. Okay, so it's just about paying attention. Thank you for asking. And that's it. Have a good night, guys. Or afternoon. Thank you for watching. I know I haven't I haven't released any videos lately, but I've been really, really busy. But hopefully I can just go back to normal. But that's why I streamed today. I was like, I have to stream. But I usually stream every week and release a bunch of videos during the week as well. So yeah, thank you so much. Thank you so much for stopping by, for interacting with me, and just practicing your Spanish. Thank you so much. And yeah, if you like this lesson, please give it a like. That helps me a lot. And have a good week. Rest of the weekend as well. Take care. And yeah, that's it. Have a good one. Adios. Hasta la vista. Bye.